and I'm sorry to get political, but I'm just going to be honest. We haven't felt like ourselves since Barack Obama. I just think he was such a slick snake. He was this affable guy who was like wearing good suits and looked the part and sounded the part and dressed the part, but was so divisive in his messaging. The left, they look at you like when you say this, they don't know what you're talking about. It's like, because you don't pay attention to the other half of the country. You only pay attention to your absurd news sources, which spin and spin and spin to protect Democrats, especially if they're named Obama. He's the one who started to inject race where no one had been doing it. He's the one who started to use his pen and the phone to shove things down our throat that we didn't want. He's the one who shoved through an entitlement on our health care and our personal doctor visits that he promised he wouldn't mess with, and then he did, really hurting people, causing massive anger and open lies. He never missed an opportunity to twist the knife on the racial issue. He would do it subtly and in his own way, but it was very clear what he was doing. For the first time, we had a president who weighed in on legal cases before they'd played out. We never did that. That was a taboo that had never been crossed before him. And Donald Trump was the reason Barack Obama, reverse that. Barack Obama was the reason Donald Trump came about, that he was born as a political figure. They say Trump's divisive. He was the antidote. He was the answer to the divisiveness of Barack Obama. And we just haven't felt like.
I am TJ, and this is Life Lessons. The first question I want to ask is to Megyn. We haven't felt like ourselves. What does that exactly mean? What does that exactly mean? You haven't felt like yourself, or we haven't felt like ourselves. What is ourselves? That's first thing. Second thing, to a degree, I agree with you. That things have not been the same, if you will, since Obama, but not for the same reasons. I said in a comment that what the election of President Obama showed, it exposed what was always there. Well, what are you talking about, Megyn? It's like an anthill. Have you ever been walking along the grass and you see like a little bit of pile of dirt, but you don't think much of it? But you don't know what's going on underneath that little hill because you don't see any ants. It's just some unsettled dirt until you step on it. And if you stay there, if your foot's there, they converge on you. And then they start to sting and bite you. All the while, the ants have been working underneath the whole time, but you didn't know it until you stepped on it. Until you stepped on what was theirs. That's what happened with the election of President Obama. And inasmuch as I was excited for this, this major event in history, I was also scared. Because I knew what that would mean. I knew. Now, understandably, it just wasn't black folks that got him elected, so I'm not talking about the other demographic of people to help him get elected. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking to who I'm talking to. Because at 58, I've seen some presidents. I've been around for a minute. That was when he was elected. That was the first time I ever saw any blatant and outward disrespect toward a commander-in-chief. And mind you, I've worn a uniform since 1986. I will never forget that while he was giving some type of address to Congress, somebody shouted out, called him a liar. I had never seen it. I had never, when I was out of the military, by this time working as a civil servant, I had never seen soldiers openly display their angst and ire toward a sitting commander-in-chief, to the extent there were several. I remember I worked on a military installation at the time, and I remember seeing a bumper sticker with some very derogatory phrase about the sitting commander-in-chief. Because see, when I raised my right, it was not with respect to whoever was in office. Period. Whether I voted for him or not. Of course, I had my own ideas and opinions about whoever was in office, even to include President Obama. But because of what I was taught, what was instilled in me, I respected the office, whether I liked the person in it or not. And just so we're clear, there were things that President Obama did or didn't do that I did not agree with. But that is when I saw it. And I can give you another example, personally. the year is roughly 99, maybe 2000. My mother called because President George W. was in office at the time, and I'm on active duty. My mom was going off about something that he was doing or not doing. I can't remember because it was before 9/11. And we were on the phone talking. And I said, Mommy, I can't talk about that. I understand. I said, but he's my commander in chief. Now, mind you, I'm in the privacy of my own home, talking to my mother. But because out of respect for the position and me as a uniformed service member, I said, Mommy, I can't talk about that. I'm not gonna engage in this conversation because he's my boss. So, and yeah, he may have called out some certain things. Why? Because he looked like the people that certain atrocities were targeted towards. So no, it may have not have been called out before because you never had nobody in office that looked like the people that were being affected. And even if they thought it wasn't him. So you say that President Trump is the antidote. Really? That's not what I said. You talked about how President Obama went after the healthcare and enforced that on people. But what about, and he promised he wouldn't. Well, President Trump promised that he wouldn't go after Social Security and all these other things, only that we find out that he has. And it may not be as overt as one may have thought. But I say once, I say it 1,000 times. If you cut the people who are in charge of administering the programs and processing the applications for the programs, you are affecting the programs. So suffice it to say, anyone that has held that office, you ain't going to please everybody. Even the people that voted for you. You're not. But for you to say, we haven't been like ourselves, what does that mean exactly? Do you mean that someone actually called out the inequities? What do you mean? And you said, and when you looked at you had such anger in your facial expression. Affable with his suits and this, that, and the other. Now, what would you have said had he not had those? And that was another thing. And it showed Black people that you can be highly educated, highly qualified, and they still see you as beneath. And I'm not talking about everybody. I'm talking about who I'm talking to. I'm talking to who I'm talking to. Because the man had every check blocked. No scandal, because if there was, it would be out by then. But still, somehow, what happened to Charlie Kirk is because of Barack Obama. So I'm going to end it like I began. It was always there. But he was the one to expose it when he was elected. Because by electing him, he stepped on the anthill. Those are my thoughts. What are yours? Take that with you.
Obama was the divisive one. According to Megyn Kelly, Obama was the divisive president. She said that we didn't get to this point of being so divided as Americans until Obama came into office. We just haven't been ourselves since he came into office. She said his rhetoric was divisive. Like he was this smug. He's like, yeah, he dressed, all decent and had this nice attire, but his rhetoric was very divisive. I challenge any opposition to Obama. I challenge you to find any quote, any post, any video of Obama being divisive more than Donald Trump. Find any video, any post, any tweet where Obama shat on America more than Trump, where Obama basically said that we are a shithole country, that we have, you know, the worst of the worst, that the American people aren't smart enough, so we have to import immigrants to go to our most elite schools and everything like that, to where he said that the country was being torn apart because of Republicans, where Obama said that Republicans are demons and that they are the enemy of the U.S. Show me any video, tweet, post from Obama that comes close to any of those things. Because according to Megyn Kelly, Obama is the reason why we're so divided. Could it be that after 200 plus years of seeing the same white faces holding the highest office in the land, could it be that after 200 plus years of seeing the same white mediocre men holding that office, that many Americans, not a majority because Obama won twice, I have no more races to win, I've won them both, love that flex, but many Americans saw that this highly educated black man who has only had one wife and has his two beautiful daughters, who has done everything necessary to be a good representative of the American dream. Could it be that seeing this not pure blood white man holding that office triggered the many races that we have in this country? Is that the we that you, Megyn Kelly, are talking about? That we weren't the same. We thought we were safe in our racism. We didn't have to worry about that seat being held by anyone other than someone who looked like us. But then the American people said, it's time for change. And seeing that, your fake supremacy, which is really fragility, got bothered and disturbed. So you had to go out, you had to protest, you had to demonize, you had to have all of the effigies of Obama being hung and everything like that. You had to demonize him and question his birth certificate. And you saw the man that was questioning his birth certificate and saying, oh, he's not really an American. He's not from here. And you're like, oh, that's us. That's what we need right there. We need that right there. Let's rally behind that guy that's bold enough, that looks like us, this old rich white guy. Let's rally behind him. Let's prop him up. He's been in the public eye for a long time. Let's prop him up. Let's rally behind him. Because we feel uncomfortable. Because this new guy has come into the picture with all this charisma and all this education. And having the most educated wife. And she's also black. And having only one marriage. Being faithful to his wife. No. We can't have that. We can't have that be the new norm. Let's go and rally behind this guy who's cheated on every one of his wives, who's been married 3 times, who has children from multiple wives, who's lied, cheated, stolen, who's not very educated. Even though he has, certificates and shit, but his father had to pay for him to get into certain schools because he wasn't smart enough. Even his professors say that he was the dumbest student that they ever had. Let's rally behind that guy, because that guy reminds us of the previous 200 plus years. Let's rally behind that rhetoric. But Obama was the divisive one. Hope. Change. Yes, we can. Where's the division? How can you say on one hand that Democrats are all inclusive. We want to just invite in anyone from around the world, immigrants from this country, immigrants from that country, the LGBT. We want everyone to feel at home. That's inclusion. But we're the party of division. It doesn't make sense. You can't keep up with your own hypocrisy. The left is not the party that's trying to force people out. It's the party that's saying, hey, come, be who you are. We'll welcome you. We'll love you. Obama wasn't the reason why the country's divided. Obama just scared you racist motherfuckers into saying we need to, it's better for us to elect a dumbass, old ass, rich, greedy, fucking cheating white guy than to continue to move the country forward. We can't have a female president. Let's just go back to the old ways of old rich white men running the country. Even though you say the country was failing. So 200 plus years of them running the show. Obviously the way they ran it wasn't strong enough to survive 8 years of one black guy. Come on. But we can't be progressive and elect a woman. So let's just elect a cheating old rich white guy because that's what we're used to. Obama is not the reason why the country was divided. Your racism and your hatred for progression is the reason why the country was divided and is divided. And the fact that you continue to support that guy that decided that it was necessary to question the citizenship of the first black president. You rallied behind him. And you fed into his poison, and you continue to feed into his poison. That's the reason why the country continues to be divided and will forever be divided, because he is toxic. His ideology is toxic. It's evil. And as long as you support him, there is no unity. There can't be.
It's that damn Barack Obama. Oh, his smooth ass, slick ass words. He was just always wearing all these good ass suits, looking good, smelling good, looking the part. All friendly and good natured and easy to talk to. Ooh, motherfucker, I swear it's his fault. If I could, I'd give him a piece of my mind. If I had the time. Ooh, I just want to talk to him. Could somebody just call him for me? Ever since his ass came in, just shoving everything down our throat. And when I said they would likely start blaming Barack Obama soon, they said I was tripping.
Megyn Kelly has finally just lost it. Like, we can actually finally say that this YT woman has went as low as anyone could go when it comes to reporting any sort of news. With her full chest, she has all but said what happened to Charlie Kirk was Obama's fault. This is what happens when you have ACES YT people running around who has never had to deal with accountability or consequences for their actions in whatever way that may be, whether it's things that they've done, things that they've said, spreading around misinformation. She said that nobody has ever felt right since that sly snake was president. And I wish that I was there so I could say, wait a minute, back up. Because what I think you meant to say is ACEs have never felt the same since a black man, a very, very intelligent, well-spoken family man, black man, was president. Because that's what I think she meant to say, but she just forgot to add those words, that it was only the ACEs who hasn't felt right since he was president. And If this is still going on from 50 years from now, are they still going to blame this one black president for all the shit that is caused from the orange-toed dumpy pants? Like, you know how they are still blaming Obama for things? Are they still going to praise the next man that is the closest than anyone has ever been to Hitler? And I don't think this video is going to go anywhere, because I have noticed on my For You page today, there's a lot of people missing. And where you'll see a bunch of comments and you go to read some comments and then there's no comments and you go back and it says 0 when there was just like 2,000 or 3,000. What the fuck is going on? Anyway, if you are not an atheist and you believe accountability should be with the one who committed the crime and the sites that he may have been looking on, which we know by now is not what we're being told, then maybe you shouldn't take any stock in what Megyn Kelly says, and maybe this should be our next boycott, cancel, whatever.
Megyn Kelly is disgusting. And you know what? I specifically hate when white folks talk about how the country is so divided now and how there is so much division, because what I hear is that you've never listened to the voices of black people or anybody who was not white. There is no universe that you are going to kidnap an entire race of people, bring them from one continent to the United States, and you don't think there's going to be division? There has been division the entire time that this country has existed. And so to me, these people who, wax poetically about, all the division just popped up out of nowhere, it just came about in the last, ever since Obama, is like, these are the people who, number one, are mad that now there are platforms like this where you can actually hear what black folks think about a lot of these issues. They are mad that black people's voices are more now louder than ever, and you can actually hear what different communities are saying. That's what these people are mad about. So yeah, they wanted to go back to a time of where we didn't have the platforms to be able to say how we felt about what was going on in the world, and things were largely silent, because that is what for them made them feel like, oh, well, there's not a lot of division in the country. But that was completely false. And so everything that you said about her is completely true, even down to the fact of how they are the ones who have used race in politics at an expert level and well before anybody else. Think back to George Wallace in the 60s. He ran an entire presidential campaign on segregationist policies. And they chalked it up to, oh, he's just speaking for, low-income workers. I mean, they have had all these fancy ways to just run completely racist campaigns and interject race into politics. Right around the time that Republicans started to lose elections was right at the time where lots of their expert thinkers decided, you know what, we really need to just start using race at the forefront to be able to coalesce our folks together and start winning elections. And it has worked. So she has some gall to bring up anything that President Obama did.
We all know that President Barack Obama, his mere presence, his skin color, drove a lot of people in this country crazy. My book, White Fear, is literally based on a poll that was taken when the question was asked around the inauguration, are you optimistic about the future of America for your children? Black people, Latinos, Asian Americans, majority said yes. White America was the only one, majority that did not say that. And what did we see? We saw the rise of the Tea Party. We saw the attacks. We saw Glenn Beck. Obama hates white people. You saw all of that. You saw the racial hatred rise. So over the weekend, I saw this clip of Megyn Kelly, the one who said Santa was white and the one who had no issue with blackface around Halloween. This is literally what this trifling, despicable, shameful bigot had to say.
We don't feel like ourselves. We haven't felt like ourselves in a while. And I'm sorry to get political, but I'm just going to be honest. We haven't felt like ourselves since Barack Obama. I just think he was such a slick snake. He was this affable guy who was like wearing good suits and looked the part and sounded the part and dressed the part, but was so divisive in his messaging. The left, they look at you like when you say this, they don't know what you're talking about. It's like, because you don't pay attention to the other half of the country. You only pay attention to your absurd news sources which spin and spin and spin to protect Democrats, especially if they're named Obama. He's the one who started to inject race where no one had been doing it. He's the one who started to use his pen and the phone to shove things down our throat that we didn't want. He's the one who shoved through an entitlement on our health care and our personal doctor visits that he promised he wouldn't mess with, and then he did, really hurting people, causing massive anger and open lies. He never missed an opportunity to twist the knife on the racial issue. He would do it subtly and in his own way, but it was very clear what he was doing. For the first time, we had a president who weighed in on legal cases before they'd played out. We never did that. That was a taboo that had never been crossed before him. And Donald Trump was the